Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Tuesday, so that means it's another waiver wire video, this time for week 17. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're probably doing pretty good. You're either in your championship or your semifinal match. Before we get started, I will mention that I will not be doing a waiver wire video for week 18. However, if you are in a league that's still playing in week 18, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you as best that I can. But with that being said, we're going to get into this week's waivers. These are guys that are less than 50% rostered on both ESPN and Yahoo. I really tried to make this list a little bit short this week just because you're either putting these guys in your lineup or you're stashing them on your bench just in case something happens throughout the week. So we're going to start off at the quarterback position. We got Trey Lance. Obviously, he has not played outside of one start for this season. Jimmy Garoppolo dealing with a thumb issue, broken thumb, torn ligament in his thumb. Could he potentially play through it? It's a possibility. But Trey Lance, somebody to pick up, stash on your bench. Maybe you have Jimmy Garoppolo, or maybe you're streaming a quarterback. You could definitely do a lot worse than Trey Lance this week. He goes against the Houston Texans, rostered in 5% of ESPN leagues, 12% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's still out there at this point in time. Offers a solid rushing floor. In terms of passing, it could be a little bit hit or miss. So the game we saw out of him earlier this season, pretty vanilla offense overall. But that rushing upside is something that is very difficult to ignore. So if you're in desperate need of a quarterback, you could look at Trey Lance this week. Then at running back, this is going to be the main guy we're going to talk about. He had a very solid week last week. Obviously, it was against that poor Chargers run defense, but it's Rex Burkhead. Played 62% of snaps, 22 carries, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 targets, 2 receptions. He had 0 receiving yards, though. Had 28.9 points in week 16. Roster in 24% of ESPN leagues, 14% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's out there at this point in time. Goes against the 49ers. Not the best matchup in the world, but not the worst matchup either. If you have a running back hole you really need to fill, Rex Burkhead could be your guy this week. I'll also mention Darrell Williams. He's not on my list. He's more than 50% roster at this point in time. Clyde Edwards-Helaire dealing with an injury week to week, so definitely somebody to consider as well. But we'll get moved over to what I call some handcuff running backs as well. So Devontae Booker, definitely worth picking up, stashing at this point in time, especially if you have Saquon Barkley. He's rostered in 25% of ESPN leagues, 22% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's still out there. He actually saw more snaps than Saquon Barkley, and I would not be surprised if the Giants just come out and say we're going to shut Saquon Barkley down for the rest of the season. They already did with Daniel Jones. Then we have Samaje Perine, once again, rostered 9% of ESPN leagues, 13% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's out there. So obviously, if you're the Joe Mixon owner, you want to have Samaje Perine on your bench at this point in time, just in case something would happen to him throughout the week. Then we have Keyshawn Vaughn, rostered 1% of ESPN leagues, 1% of Yahoo leagues. Had that big touchdown run last week. Obviously, Ronald Jones is the primary running back at this point in time. But should something happen to Ronald Jones throughout the week, whether it's an injury, COVID, anything like that, you don't wish that upon anyone. But if something would happen, Keyshawn Vaughn would be the guy. Definitely worth picking up at this point in time. And then last but not least, we have Boston Scott, rostered in 13% of ESPN leagues, 16% of Yahoo leagues. Miles Sanders has a broken hand. Jordan Howard's a little banged up as well. So if those guys are unable to go, Boston Scott could be somebody to plug in your lineup this week. Then we'll move over to the wide receiver position. So I have Kadarius Toney first off. He played 51% of snaps this past week, 9 targets, 4 receptions, 28 yards, 6.8 points in week 16. Roster in 24% of ESPN leagues, 22% of Yahoo leagues. Goes against the Bears in week 17, which should be a little bit of a favorable matchup. Probably a guy that you want to add it in a little bit deeper league, a 3 wide receiver, a flex spot, something like that, or a multiple flex spot type of league. But if you need a guy, PPR setting, something like that, a guy that has some upside, Kadarius Toney could be your guy. Obviously, the most explosive playmaker left on this Giants team overall. Maybe their most reliable receiver because Kenny Galladay is not really separating so far this season, or I should just say this season because I can't even say so far anymore. And then Darius Slayton's had his trouble catching the ball as well. Then we have Isaiah McKenzie, who had that crazy week last week. Cole Beasley did test positive for COVID. Obviously, we all know he's not vaccinated at this point in time. Same thing for Gabe Davis. If those guys are not back this week, Isaiah McKenzie's going to look really good. Heck, if Gabe Davis is even back, Isaiah McKenzie still looks all right. So he played 85% of snaps this past week, 12 targets, 11 receptions, 125 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had 29.4 points in week 16, rostered in 1% of ESPN leagues, 2% of Yahoo leagues. Goes against a very good matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. Definitely a guy that you want to pick up and at least have on your bench this week. Cole Beasley doesn't play. Probably a guy that you can plug into your lineup as well. Then we have KJ Osborn, once again, one of the guys that's been on the list quite a few times this season, a guy that I liked a lot coming into the season. Played 79% of snaps this past week, 7 targets, 5 receptions. He had 68 yards and 1 touchdown, 7.8 points in week 16. Roster in 30% of ESPN leagues, 34% of Yahoo leagues. Goes against the Packers in week 17, which at one point in time they look like a decent defense. That hasn't quite been the case as of late, though, so could be a decent little matchup for KJ Osborn. Adam Thielen's still banged up. Saw him kind of get re-injured a little bit in that game last week, so we'll see if he plays or not. But KJ Osborn, definitely at the very least somebody that you should have stashed on your bench at this point in time. Then last but not least, for the wide receivers, we have Allen Lazard, played 86% of snaps this past week, 5 targets, 2 receptions, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Been playing a little bit more of that slot role without Randall Cobb in the mix. Obviously, Marquez Valdes-Scantling was on the COVID list last week. We'll see if he's back this week or not. Even if he's back, he's more that deep play wide receiver more than anything, so Allen Lazard shouldn't be affected by him being back too much overall. He had 13.8 points in Week 16, rostered in 16% of ESPN leagues, 24% of Yahoo leagues, so pretty good chance that he's out there. Goes against a very favorable matchup in the Minnesota Vikings in Week 17. So could Allen Lazard get another touchdown and help put your team over the edge? Definitely a possibility. Then in terms of tight end, I just have Gerald Everett listed once again. You can also look at guys like Cole Kmet. You could look at Mo Alley Cox. You could look at Evan Ingram if you really want to as well. But Gerald Everett played 84% of snaps this past week, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown, 16.8 points in Week 16. He is rostered in 17% of ESPN leagues. Pretty good chance that he's out there. And then Yahoo leagues, 43% of the leagues. Plays against the Detroit Lions in Week 17. Lions have been okay against tight ends so far this season, but mainly due to Alex Alazone, who's on IR now, so could be a good matchup for Gerald Everett overall. Then last but not least, we have the defenses to consider streaming this week. So I have the Seattle Seahawks rostered in 38% of ESPN leagues, 49% of Yahoo leagues to go against the Detroit Lions, who, we all know what the Lions are at this point in time. Could be a good matchup for them, although Seattle's defense is not the best. If they're able to get some pressure on Jared Goff or Tim Boyle, whoever ends up playing at quarterback, could be a good day for the Seattle Seahawks defense. And then we have the Chicago Bears as well, rostered in 13% of ESPN leagues, 17% of Yahoo leagues, goes against the Giants in Week 17. You're looking at Jake Fromm or Mike Glennon starting at quarterback. Maybe Saquon doesn't play. Not a lot of weapons on this team overall. The offensive line's not the greatest in the world. They're able to get some pressure, generate some turnovers. Could be a good game for the Chicago Bears defense overall. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on the waivers for Week 17. As always, if you guys have any questions related to waivers, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. If there's any other players available on waivers that you have a question about that I did not mention in this video, be sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible as well. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your fantasy football teams, helping you with DFS, whether it's NFL or NBA. And then with that being said, if you are new or current subscribers yet to do so, also hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up 4 or 5 videos related to fantasy football or NFL DFS throughout the week, as well as daily NBA DFS videos. So if you're into any of that stuff at all, which I'm going to guess you're at least into the fantasy football side since you're watching this video, definitely be sure that you are subscribed and have that notification bell turned on so you never miss a beat. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special little shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.